In wreath making, the poof method is pretty much the basic that everyone learns eventually, if not at first. It's kind of the basic wreath method. Today, I'm going to be making a Valentine's poof method, but we're going to do a little variation with it. Instead of using the 21-inch decoupage, I'm going to be using 2 rolls of 10-inch decoupage, and I'm going to do what I call a layered method. We're going to put the white decoupage with the red on top. I will show you specifics in a second, but for now, let's get started and go over the supplies for this Valentine's poof wreath. Starting off with 2 rolls of decoupage that are 10 inches in width and at least 6 yards in length. I usually like to get the 10-yard rolls. I'm going to be using some 6-inch tulle. This is from the Dollar Tree and it's 5 yards in length. Next, I'm going to be using some beautiful ribbon that my friend Karen gifted me. It is a wired ribbon, 2.5 inches in width, and it is from Costco by Kirkland Signature. Really, really pretty, and it goes along really perfectly with this gnome from the Dollar Tree. Look at the little hearts. Doesn't it match perfectly? So this is what I'm going to use as my centerpiece, is this sweet gnome, or you can use whatever Valentine's decor you like if you don't like gnomes. Next, you're going to need at least 18 pipe cleaners. If you're attaching a centerpiece, you're going to need a few more, and then 2 zip ties. And finally, you're going to need a wreath form. I'm using a 14-inch metal wreath form from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to get started by attaching my 18 pipe cleaners to my wreath form. A lot of wreath makers do a variation of how they like their pipe cleaners. I like to keep it simple. We're going to break this down into section by section. So in each section, we're going to have 3 pipe cleaners. So don't think of that overall kind of busy picture. We're just working this area right here. So I'm going to take rows 1 and 2, I count from inside out, and I'm going to put a pipe cleaner just on those rows. I'm going to do 2 twists, and then I'm going to fold the tails towards the inside of the wreath. This is what's going to help us later on when we're attaching the decoupage. Then we have 2 more for this section. One is going to go a little bit to the left, and the other one's going to go a little bit to the right of this center one. Twist 1. And we're going to fold it out towards the outside. And the second one. And this one's going to face outside also. And that's it. I'm going to repeat the same process going all the way around to all 6 sections. This is what your wreath is supposed to look like when it's done. As I said, look at it as section by section. Here is the decoupage. As you can see, just an average regular type of decoupage. So that goes underneath, and I'm sure you're wondering, how is the white going to show with red on top? I wanted to show you a little bit of closer look of this decoupage. This decoupage is called a wide weave metallic mesh because, as you can see, it's not as fine as this one. It has a lot of spaces in between those lines, and that is what's going to make the white show up from the background. If you don't have this type of mesh, then definitely put the white over the red, and then the red will show, and it's going to be a nice mix. I'm going to drop this second roll into my little basket, bring it together so you can kind of see the poof. This is the poof we're going for. We have white in the background with some red on top. This is going to be really pretty. Now let's talk about how we're going to attach our decoupage to our wreath form. I sometimes call this the spiral method because you're kind of going in a spiral. You're making a circle, then you're making your way out, and then you're going to go on the outside. I always work from inside going out. And of course, you can go clockwise, counterclockwise. It doesn't matter. The method is going to be the same. So what I'm going to do is, for example, is if I start on this pipe cleaner, I'm going to make 10-inch loops. We're going to go all the way around on this inside row 1 and 2. And I'm going to make 10-inch loops going all the way around until I come back to this one. We're going to overlay it. So we're going to have a full circle. Then I'm going to have my decoupage go flat, and we're going to move on to this next section. From here, I'm going to make 10-inch loops going all the way around in the back until I have completed my circle. First thing I'm going to do is overlay my white ones underneath, red one on top, and both of my deco mesh rolls are unrolling towards the table, not away from the table, towards the table. So I'm already making my poof. About 2-3 inches in, I'm going to gather and I'm going to attach it to one of the inner pipe cleaners, and that is my starting and ending point for that inner row. I'm going to do 2 twists, and then the tail right here, instead of going wild, we are going to keep it under control. I'm bringing my zip tie out. We're going to secure it in place. I always say I sleep better at night knowing that deco mesh is going nowhere. I'm going to grab my wire cutters, cut that tail off. Going forward, every time I make a poof, I'm going to take my pipe cleaners and just point them up. We need to be able to find them as we're finishing the wreath. I'm going to be making my 10-inch loops. So what I do is this part where I actually start, I'm going to put it right here at my 10-inch mark, and that's the light square right here. I'm going to keep it tight. There is where I'm ending with my 10 inches and attach it to the next pipe cleaner. Now I'm going to do this going all the way around on the inner row, making my last loop. And I've been swinging this wreath around. I cannot believe he's just laying there. Cannot be bothered. My last loop is done, and now I'm going to just grab my deco mesh and I'm going to go flat from here to this next one in the outer row. And now we are just going to be doing the same thing on the outer row. As you can see, I'm just keeping it tight. This pipe cleaner right here, this is where the last poof is going to get attached. I'm measuring my last loop. Let's cut off the excess, give it about 3 inches. And I'm going to attach it towards the inside. There is that pipe cleaner. Here is where we started the outside row. 2 twists. I'm going to flip upside down so it's better for you to see. I'm going to take that tail and I'm going to zip tie it to row 3 from the inside. And here you can see the beginning of my deco mesh rolls and the ending, and they're both secured. If you see that this wreath is a little bit on the sparse side, don't worry about it. We still have the ribbon coming up and the beautiful decor in the center. Before we get to the ribbon, I'm going to use the tool and I'm going to do something different with it. After I unroll my tool, I'm going to cut it into 11-inch strips. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to cut it in half. And I'm just using my rotary cutter for that. Altogether, you're only going to need 9 strips because we want 18 total. And since we're cutting them in half, that's what's going to give us 18 of these little strips. And just like our tool, I'm going to be cutting my ribbon into 11-inch strips. Now I'm just zigzagging the ribbon. We're going to need 36 strips of this ribbon altogether. I have 36 strips, and what I'm going to do is while it's folded in a zigzag, I'm going to take both ends, fold in half, and cut a triangle, making sure I cut those corners, and I have my dovetail. I love doing this because it makes me feel so productive. I feel like I'm doing 2 things at once. I'm cutting my ribbon and making my dovetails at the same time. Now that all my ribbon is cut up, I'm going to start making my ribbon bundles. And these bundles are going to go in each of the pipe cleaners. 2 ribbon strips with the hearts and 1 of these tool pieces. Find the center. I usually just fold in half so we kind of know where the center is. Squeeze together just like this and start attaching to all the pipe cleaners. After I attached, I'm going to just twist my pipe cleaner up about 1 inch from the actual connection. Using my wire cutters, I'm going to cut off the ending and just fold in half and back. I'm going to go ahead and attach all of my little ribbon bundles, and keep in mind that when working with tulle, you have to be careful because the edges of the deco mesh can get caught on it. It really shouldn't happen in this case because all our deco mesh edges should be touching the table, and my tool is on top of my ribbon, so I'm just careful. After I attach, I raise my ribbon to make sure that it doesn't touch those edges and it should be fine. As I'm opening up my bundles, and it's just so pretty. I don't think that the tulle is showing up on camera as much as it does in person, and it just gives such a beautiful softness to the actual wreath. I love it. Cutting the ribbon to 11 inches is perfect for this type of wreath. It's doing its job. It's creating these beautiful ribbon bundles. Plus, you can see the beauty of the deco mesh. What's the point of getting beautiful deco mesh if we're just going to hide it all? So off I go, and I'm just going to continue doing this all the way around. If you can't find this particular ribbon, it's not a big deal. You can use what you have as long as you match your deco mesh to your ribbon. And now we're going to put our sweet little gnome in the center. I decided to connect it in 4 areas on top, bottom, and sides. Grabbing 4 pipe cleaners, and I'm making a little flat area in the middle. Now I'm going to take some felt pieces, and this is just scrap little pieces that I have left over. Some hot glue, then my pipe cleaner, then more hot glue at the top and the bottom, my felt piece, and now you have a nice secure connection. Now that my gnome is ready to get attached, bring in the wreath again, and I just like to usually hold everything down so I can put it on the wreath. Now you want to figure out where you want the gnome. Just going to keep it tight, flip it. I'm going to first take care of that top. I have my pipe cleaners, and I'm going to go on an intersection and just do kitty corner to kitty corner, meaning one pipe cleaner is on one side, the other one is on this side. That way you have a nice secure connection. Let's twist it in place. Then of course I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom, looking around, making sure that I like the way the gnome is situated. And I'm going to attach the sides. Now that my gnome is on, I'm going to flip back, and I'm going to cover it to just attach it at 3 spots using my zip ties. And all I'm doing is just zip tying and cutting that tail off. 2 more spots. And of course, don't forget to send this little nub to the back so nothing gets scratched. Now I'm just going to peek underneath to see where my top is, and it's right here on this intersection. So I'm going to grab some jute cord, making a few knots, cutting that off, and sending the knot to the back, and we have a little hanging loop. Now I'm going to go around one more time and make sure that my ribbon is laying nicely and all those little flowers are open. Look how beautiful this wreath came out. Well, what did you think of the wreath? I think it turned out super cute. It was quite simple. We went around and around, made some poofs, added some ribbon, a beautiful little centerpiece, and that's it. We have a lovely Valentine's poof wreath. Louie wanted me to remind you that if you're not subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing for more wreath tutorials. Don't forget to hit the bell, and of course, give us a thumbs up, right? Say thumbs up, please. Thank you. If you're interested in more wreath tutorials right now, we have prepared 2 videos for you right here. So you can just click and continue watching beautiful wreath tutorials. With that being said, thank you so much for being with us, and we will see you in our next video. Bye, everyone. Louie loves giving kisses.